Part 2, continuing on. I never handled the bookkeeping for Laclede. Michael wouldn't let me touch anything related to 4101 Laclede after signing the $11 million loan. He didn't even keep the folders in our company Dropbox. I asked why that was, and he told me Austin was handling it. Austin Barzantni, the partner. He occasionally asked me to deposit checks at various bank accounts for 4101 Laclede. There was People's National Bank, Midwest Bank Center, and Simon's Bank, and then Midland States Bank. Post-divorce discovery. I found emails between Michael Israeli and Michael Gingrich that showed the planning stages for Atrium. The money for Laclede was to come from Tel Aviv to the Atrium residential bank account in New York during the late 2015 through 2018, 19. Then to the three Midland States bank accounts for Laclede. I have the account numbers for all of them. I believe they typically did it in small increments of 100,000 or 110,000 because that's what Michael Israeli and Michael Gingrich also did with other Atrium bank accounts at Bank of America. The Bank of America accounts were the clean public face of Atrium in St. Louis, whereas the Midland States bank accounts were never shown to me and I believe contained most of the high dollar transactions. The bank representatives that I mostly dealt with at Midland States Bank were Jennifer Perkins and Sherry Lou Montefalcon. They seemed to handle all of the Laclede and Perfusion bank accounts. I noticed on their LinkedIn profiles attached that they both joined Midland States Bank in mid-2015. One of the bank statements I received from Perfusion and Sherry Lou looked altered. The fonts were inconsistent, fuzzy, and did not match other statements from bank accounts. And the file metadata showed that they were from an IT company in Germany. Also, I have all of Atrium's tax returns from 2015 to 2020, with the exception of Atrium Residential in New York. This was handled by a firm through Michael Israeli in St. Louis. This was handled by a firm through Michael Israeli. In St. Louis, our tax accountant was Nate Sala. He handled all of our taxes since 2014. You'll see the returns show very little money invested and earned, particularly Atrium Properties, which invested in Laclede. None of those returns listed the capital contributions of the 6 members. So every tax return for Atrium Properties, the K1 for all of these Israeli investors showed 0 every year. It was bizarre. In 2015, Oleg hired Michael under another one of his companies, Cube Capital, to purchase 2 apartments in St. Louis, Maryland Park and Beaujardin. Michael made over $300,000 on the sales, the most money we'd ever made. It was double what Mike made in a whole year on 2 deals. Like I said, we were young, just starting out. Not much money, but ambitious. I was excited, and I thought we were going to do more deals. I remember Michael working on a Florida real estate portfolio for Oleg, but nothing ever happened. By 2016, 2017, Oleg basically disappeared from our lives. Around that same time, Michael reconnected with Chris Helfrich, an old friend of ours from Houston, Texas, from early on in our marriage, who works for DDC Construction, CESO. They are based in Ohio, but do a lot of real estate development in Florida. DDC hired Mike for a time period to help find land deals. Throughout 2016 and 2017, Laclede was an all-consuming project and everything went wrong. Messed up change orders caused severe construction delays. Michael was in over his head and more stressed than I'd ever seen him. Investors and condo buyers were getting pissed. Several buyers threatened lawsuits because condos were almost a year past the promised completion date. I remember Michael screaming at Austin, Amelia, Robin, Tony's team, and anybody else within ear's range about all the problems that Laclede was having and the mismanagement. It was in 2017 that Michael first introduced me to Derek Frost, an investment advisor in St. Louis and a former pro football player. And he told me that he was investing in Laclede. This LLC was Profusion Laclede Condos. Michael told me that he and investment advisor, missed a spot. By 2018, the Laclede condos were almost complete and sales were underway. Michael was so happy. Michael told me that he and Derek Frost, investment advisor representative Derek Evan Frost, CRD number 5634634, we're going to start a private fund, Profusion Private Asset Fund, PPAF. They plan to raise capital together, mainly through Derek's clients. In early 2019, they had a total commitment of $7.5 million. And throughout 2019 and 2020, they had frequent capital calls to investors for portions of their respected committed amounts. Post-divorce discovery. In my research to reopen the divorce in June 2022, I found something peculiar in our Dropbox folders that I had transferred during our divorce. Michael had put a Laclede folder labeled seller closing documents in the Atrium development folders. It was a closing statement for all 52 condos at Laclede, and odd that Mike put it there. I read through each closing statement and noticed that all of the closing documents signed by Austin Barzantni included a deed of release from Midland States Bank, and all the documents signed by Michael Gingrich included a quitclaim and deed of release from Profusion Laclede condos. The deeds Austin signed totaled exactly the amount of the $11 million loan from Midland. The deed signed by Michael totaled over $14 million. Then I found an email between Michael and Jennifer Perkins at Midland States Bank informing him and Derek that the $950,000 loan with Profusion Laclede condos had been fulfilled. Michael instructed her to continue paying Profusion 50% of the profits. So even though Profusion Laclede condos was not an investor, but a sub-debt loan, they took over $7.5 million in profits, the exact same amount that they raised in capital for the fund. I had found an email between Derek, Michael, and Nate Sala, our tax accountant, about how to classify this loan/investment. After the Laclede investment/placement, it appears the money was then laundered into Profusion Private Asset Fund and then spread out into two DDC Florida investment deals, Cap 5 Champions Gate and Cap 5 Ford.